Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Thursday, August the 7th, 2025. So we're in the latter part of the week, of course. Hopefully, has had a good week thus far. Of course, going to give people a few minutes to come in before we get started. Actually, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to put some music on. Got to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back, but I'll put some music on to entertain you guys. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Anyways, so let's see. So we're coming up on 2 minutes here. So um, yeah. So with my cartoon watching, of course, I'm just watched all the cartoons that came out, here in the states in September of 1939. Quite a few Warner Brothers stuff came out. Like five Warner Brothers shorts came out, three Merry Melodies, and a couple of Porky Pig cartoons, including Porky's Hotel, where a goat with gout came for a rest and was basically being continuously disrupted by Dizzy Duck, constantly asking questions. So anyways, so now we're coming up on 3 minutes here, so I guess I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So tonight we're going to go over an article from Bleeding Fool, rather, the latest edition of Indie Comic Showcase, and then we'll do the wrestling wrap up, get you all caught up on all the latest pro wrestling news, look back to last night's AW Dynamite, look ahead to tonight's TNA Impact and Ring of Honor Club, and then we will wrap things up with this day in each history. So I may, depending on how fast we get through the article tonight, I might even do another article. I guess we'll wait and see there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and get started here. First off, get to the all right, so there we go with that. All right, so Indie Comic Showcase number 305, the Manticore and the Canadian Shield. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday. So these are interviews that he does, and of course, our old buddy Rick Piper from Cross Comics is one of the two features, I guess, here. All right, so let's see what we got here. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. Or of course, you can catch when I do this article, you can catch the information on here as well. So many ways to find the information out. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the project for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. The Manticore #0 by Jason Fox. So before we get into the article, of course, let me go grab the link. It's in the check. Let me hear me. And as always, guys, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. All right, so let me. And this is a Kickstarter campaign. And if you guys, there's the link. You guys want to go check that out. All right. So now, let's go ahead and get into this interview. So, the Manticore #0 by Isaac Fox. I thought it said Jason, but Isaac Fox. So, my mistake. Let's get into this. Chris Braley. Welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase, Isaac. Can you give us a quick pitch for the Manticore? What's the story at its core? Ha ha. Nice little pun there, Chris. Isaac Fox. The Manticore is set in a high fantasy world locked in a World War I style conflict where the front lines have stalled and both sides are searching for an edge. The story asks, can a squad of mixed species women finally break the stalemate? Gear up, soldier. The Manticore wants you. And again, friendly reminder, if you haven't already, you can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, as we continue on here, Chris, what motivated you to create this comic, and why did you opt to self-publish? Isaac, after my Suck You Busted series became a hit, I started thinking about future projects. I spent a few years connecting with readers and backers to learn what they wanted most. The Manticore is the result. A blend of etchy fun from Stuck You Busted, and their feedback. I've always wanted to tell a sexy fantasy tale. Um, I self publish because it gives me full creative control. And every professional I've spoken with has advised against working with larger publishers. Yeah, that's been a big thing the last 4 or 5 years here, 6 years. More people are going the independent route because one of the big reasons is to maintain creative control. This co- this comic is stacked with 36 pages across 5 chapters, so approximately seven pages a chapter. That's not the only thing that's stacked. Uh, Chris, who's the comic geared toward? And what types of readers will it appeal to? Isaac. The Manticore is strictly for adult readers. At its heart, it's an ecchi series containing adult content, language, imagery, situations, violence, and more. Fans of Dungeons and Dragons, RPGs, isekai anime, and ecchi humor will feel right at home with this comic. Chris, how would you describe your artistic approach and creative process? How did you develop them? I've been in professional entertainment for 15 years and working in comics for over 11. Along the way, I've benefited from industry advice on crafting comics, managing teams, and shipping books. I'd say I've developed a particular set of skills thanks to this experience. Chris, tell us a bit about everyone involved. Who contributed to the Manticore number zero? Isaac. Unlike my other books, the Manticore number zero includes 5 chapters, each with different artists or creative pairs. Our lineup features Astral Ticket's in-house artist Krias, Cirque Nico 97, and Akane, plus guest artist Noxcuro, Aldi Fauzan, the Zhong brothers, Mitsublinger, Eric Weichik Chen, Jason Hahir, um, Amoradora, Miss Henpai, Joseph Wolf, Demon Lord Dante, toy animation artist Nesbox, and Dr. Zek. Uh, quite a few interesting names right now. Only one seemed more like an actual real person's name. Or maybe a couple, but anyways, 3 or 4. Okay. Chris, how do you structure your production process, and what's the book's current status? Isaac, for every book, I start by making detailed character sheets and plotting the story in a style I picked up from Hirohiko Araki, of course, in parentheses, of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Then I script using a format from Dark Horse Comics, revise it, and send it to my editors. Once we're happy, it goes to the artist. I work closely with the team and value their creative input. As the book comes together, um, once everything, including extras, is complete, we launch on Kickstarter. Hmm. Huh. Chris, what have you learned from your experiences with indie comic publishing and crowdfunding so far? Isaac, the biggest takeaway, the biggest takeaway, nothing truly prepares you for this journey. Even after college and business advice from ex Disney executive and mentorship under seasoned indie creator Kitsney Windsor, I learned you always need double whatever you expect, whether it's time, money, or other resources. Um, Chris, what's coming up after this issue? Are there future stories in the works? Isaac, the series will be told in missions, quote unquote, each spanning 2 issues. Once the main story kicks off, it's designed so new readers can start anywhere. No need to catch up on 50 past issues. The next 2 missions, which make up 4 books, are already halfway finished. Now imagine that girl looking you straight in the face and going, "I want you for the Manticore." Nearest SE Entente office. Chris, are there unique features or Kickstarter perks you'd like to highlight? Isaac, absolutely. Most of our covers are exclusive and won't be reprinted. We've unlocked 7 stretch goal freebies with an 8th close behind. All tiers except the $5 digital basic come with a free trading card. And we're building an exclusive, sometimes risque, trading card game. There are also first appearance specials by the Zhang brothers, Joseph Wolf, Demon Lord Dante, and the legendary Cute Sexy Robots. Robots, huh? Chris, any final thoughts or messages for our readers? Isaac, thank you so much for supporting indie creators. We're in an age where indies are making waves throughout entertainment, and that's thanks to fans like you. If you love war epics, D&D, adventure, Vox Machina, or just BA sexy ladies, you'll definitely enjoy the Manticore. Chris, we're rooting for you, Isaac. All right, so before I get into the next part, which is, of course, Rick Piper's The Canadian Shield #3, I do have to step away from the computer for a moment, so I will be right back, but I will put some music on while I'm gone. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. So, all right. So, anyways, let's get into this. Let me go grab the link before we start talking about Canadian Shield here. And I believe this is a Fund My Comic project. Yep, it is. All right. So, as I said, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. It'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So let me just do this. And if you guys want to go check this out, there you go. All right. All right. So let's get into the interview here. Canadian Shield by number 3 by Rick Piper. Chris Braley. Briefly tell us the elevator pitch for your comic. What's it about? Rick Piper. This is the third issue of the book in which I introduce the reader to a new supporting cast for the main character, as well as a new villain. The foe is one that at some point could become more powerful than the Canadian Shield. Let's see. Chris. Where did the idea for this comic come from, and what made you decide to self-publish it? Rick. As the Canadian Shield was intended to be an ongoing series, the third book came naturally. With a new book, you need a new villain. So I picked one from the characters I had already created, one I thought would challenge the Canadian Shield, so he didn't have much of a supporting cast before. I thought it would be good to introduce some. I decided to self-publish because I want to have my own company and maintain control over my characters. As we mentioned in the previous interview, of course, that's becoming more and more of a thing. You know, people going the independent route. There's been a thing that's been going on for the last 5 or 6 years, I believe, where people have gone the independent route to maintain creative control. Oh. Let's see more of this then. So Chris then asks, what kind of comic readers is this suited for, and who is it aimed at? Rick, I believe it is suitable for all ages. It is aimed at anyone who loves comics, though those who like old school comics may enjoy it more than others. Um, Chris, tell us about your style and creative process and how you develop them. Rick, I've been a reader of comics since my teens and have watched all superhero related shows and more. I previously released three other comics, had a story published in a book by Hero Shack Press, and inked Melvin 3 by Velvet Comics. Chris, talk about your creative team that contributed to this project. Rick, I was the main creative force behind the book. I hired Efren Crespo for pencils and inks, colored it myself, co-wrote it with my friend Neil Burke, lettered it, and Malcolm Turzic provided editing. Chris, what's your production workflow like? And if it's not complete, how far along is the book? Rick, all except 3 pages are drawn, and that's due to a draw-in reward on the campaign. The book is in the middle of being colored by me, and I'm currently on page 5. It will be fully colored by the end of the campaign, except for the 3 draw-in reward pages, which will be done within 2 weeks to a month after. So people should have it by the promised date. All right, anyways. Chris, what have you learned from self-publishing through this process? Rick, that it is a lot of hard work. I keep getting reminded of this, even though I've gone through it a couple times before. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Rick, since it's an ongoing series, there are many future issues planned. After this book, I plan to release the second issue of another series called Snowdrift, start a new series called The Flame, and then move on to the fourth issue of the Canadian Shield. Wow, Rick's got a lot. Rick's doing a lot, isn't he? Trying to get a lot of books published out there. Chris, any special features in this book? As mentioned earlier, um, there is the draw-in reward, and it has only 10 spots available. So people need to act fast. One has already been purchased as of this interview. There may be additional features. I am working on some things. Also, anyone purchasing a physical copy will get a 4-page ash can of the Canadian Shield. Chris, anything else you'd like to share with our readers before we sign off? Rick, just to thank them and you for your time and encourage them, encourage everyone to check out the campaign and consider buying. Good luck. Alrighty then. So there we go with that story. This time, Chris only featured two features tonight. So we did come up a little short there. But if you guys want to check out the campaigns, here are the links, of course. The Manticore #0, and for Cross Comics number Cross Comics for the Canadian Shield from Cross Comic #3, the Canadian Shield #3. All right. So, anyways, just do something here real quick. See if that helps a little bit there. Alrighty then. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to we're gonna move on to another article here. As we're just past the 30-minute mark here, 32 minutes. I think we'll at least do one more article here. See where we after that. Okay, so the next article here that we're doing, Fantastic Four First Steps is Marvel's biggest bomb since the Marvels. Article by Avi Green published today. So Avi's got another one of his critiques on some of the current happenings. So why don't we go ahead and get into this? So John Nolte at Breitbart comments on what turned out to be the latest fantastic flop of a live-action Marvel adaptation, which, of course, that's been news going around for a while. So here's from the article that Avi is referencing. Quote, Fantastic Four grossed $11.7 million domestically in its second Friday on the big screen, marking a devastating 80% drop from its debut, unquote, reports Variety. Quote, if the poor turnout continues, the film will most likely fall short of the initial weekend two estimates of $45 to $52 million by Sunday, unquote. And fall short, it did fall, in quote, fall short, it did, grossing just $40 million with a 66% drop. After 10 days and 2 weekends, this well-reviewed Marvel entry sits at just $198 million. So it just goes to show you that critics aren't as interested in making money as most people, I guess. That's nearly as bad as Captain America: Brave New World, which dropped 68%, and a lot worse than the 56% drop Thunderbolt suffered. Both of those 2025 Marvel releases are considered box office bombs. The Disney grooming okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. The Disney grooming syndicate. Okay. The Disney grooming syndicate's turn towards the anti-art and anti-storytelling lunacy of identity politics, gender politics, and all that LGBTQ stuff has already, now this is all from Breitbart, mind you. So, stuff has already destroyed their Star Wars and Pixar franchises. And now it seems pretty official. Woke, the woke idiots um, killed Marvel. And again, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So as we continue on here, and I believe this is now we're back to Avi giving his viewpoint on this. The problem I think is that star Pedro Pascal alone alienated a considerable amount of the potential audience with all his obsessive defenses of LGBT ideology, even going so far as to attack J.K. Rowling. One of the stars, Joseph Quinn, may have suggested Johnny Storm would be portrayed in woke ways too in this Collider article. So now he's going to be referencing an article from Collider. The 2025 movie doesn't shy away from the core of how people see Johnny. He's still the handsome, charming young man who flirts, jokes, and flies to the skies of New York as a Human Torch. But in Fantastic Four First Steps, Quinn's portrayal marks a striking difference from Evans' take because it has to. While Evans leaned into Johnny's cocky, thrill-seeking persona, Quinn introduced a more grounded and introspective version, a quiet genius who cements his place in the team as more than just a ladies' man. The movie makes good use of his character traits from the comics by showing how he's able to help Ben Grimm, who's played in the movie here by Aban Moss Bachrach, and Reed, Pedro Pascal, pilot their spacecraft and navigate. He even figures out on his own how to shoot beams into the side of a wormhole to use the curved trajectory to attack Silver Surfer, who is being portrayed by Julia Gardner. So now, back to Avi here from the looks of it. Well, this sure doesn't sound encouraging to believe Quinn plays Johnny much different than from what wokesters of the past decade would prefer. Of course, because Nolte's official review is behind a paywall, how can I clearly confirm from him that it's not PC as he's saying? And by the way, it's not like Johnny in the comics was portrayed slacking off all the time. There were plenty of stories where he was battling baddies just as much as his family partners were. And the Collider article actually admits as much. But it also points to something Nolte must have strangely overlooked. The Silver Surfer was changed from a man to a woman. Seriously, why are we supposed to find that impressive? What's so wrong with Norrin Rad? I'm okay with creative liberties, but it looks like this might have wound up being too much after all the insults to the intellect in earlier movies. Warner Todd Houston also addressed the current catastrophe. This is from Warner Todd Houston's article. The film suffered a surprising 66% loss of revenue in its second weekend, dropping from its 117.6 million box office take last week to a mere 40 million over the weekend over weekend 2, according to the Wrap. Its overseas impact mirrors its domestic box office as well. The film opened strong with more than $108 million overseas, but for weekend 2, that take collapsed to only $39.6 million. In the end, this may portend bad news for the film. Even though it had a nice opening weekend and received hearty praise from critics and fans alike, the money is simply not following. It could mean that the film may fail to break the $500 million threshold worldwide. It all smacks of superhero movie overload, as the genre seems to be giving studios diminishing returns. Marvel's other recent superhero flick, Thunderbolts, was also a disappointing for Disney. According to World of Real's math, Thunderbolts will lose more than $100 million for Disney. With a budget of $400 million, including production and promotion, Thunderbolts only earned about $350 million in its first month in theaters. And Thunderbolts was the third film in a row for Marvel that did not perform as hoped. Captain America: Brave New World and The Marvels were also box office disappointments. They're saying box office disappointments, but some people have called them box office bombs. So, go figure. I wonder what leftist writer Kurt Busiek, who created the original Thunderbolt series, and this is Avi speaking again, by the way, in the late 1990s, thinks of the catastrophe. Since he's such a woke advocate in his own way, and there's also the box office intake of Superman to ponder. So back to the article that he was just referencing. Meanwhile, DC Comics movies for Warner's is finding a similarly hard slog at the box office. Despite that, James Gunn's newest Superman reboot was well received by fans and critics. The film has earned less than hoped. After its first 2 weeks in theaters, the film earned about $406 million worldwide, but with a $400 million budget, that take is not near enough to earn back its production costs. So here's Avi speaking again. Let's recall promotional and marketing costs can figure heavily into a movie's budget as well. Not just how much it costs to film it. As I've noted before, the political metaphors in Gunn's Superman film are a turnoff, and he did give additional hints at where he stood politically. So maybe when a filmmaker says stuff that divisive, you can't be so surprised when the audience doesn't go for it. Good point, Bobby. There. Then here's an extra commentary from Nolte. Now that the collapse of the Disney grooming syndicate's Marvel brand is no longer in dispute, the far-left entertainment media continue to deceive their readers by blaming everything except what's really to blame. Marvel's lunatic embrace of woke. Quote, woke, of course, means that Marvel put identity politics above effective storytelling and relatable characters. Woke cares only about pushing